What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man, from E-Man's Movie Reviews, and welcome to episode 7 of the recap with E-Man. We have got a ton of things to cover. I mean, why are movie studios fighting with movie theaters? Will Daredevil show up in Spiderman 3? What were some of the huge reveals from the Avengers Endgame watch party? So many questions, so many topics we're going to cover today, coming up next. Alright, first and foremost, let's start off with the, of course, bad news of more movie delays. And we're going to kick it off with the movie Spiral. Now, if you don't know, Spiral is going to be a spin-off movie from the Saw movie franchise. This time it's going to be produced and starring Chris Rock. And the movie was supposed to come out this May, but instead it got pushed back an entire year. And now it's going to come out May 2021. Now, I'll be honest, I was kind of iffy on this to begin with. The second I heard Chris Rock was on board and I heard the quote that he gave, which was he was watching some of the Saw movies and the first thing that came to his mind was, hey, this could be more funny, or there's a real joke that could be put right here. Once he said that in his quote, I was like, dude, I'm really losing a lot of interest in anything you do as part of the Saw franchise, because what made Saw so dope was all the thrills and the fear and, like, you know, I'm not saying the torture porn stuff or whatever, but just the idea of being like really scared. So I'm not really interested in seeing a Saw movie that has a little bit more humor anyway. So the fact that this got pushed back, I was kind of like, all right, whatever, you know, fine. But I will say, there was one other delay that really got to me. John Wick 4 has been pushed back an entire year. This has gone too far. Because what was going to happen was John Wick 4 was going to debut at the same time as The Matrix 4. Do you know what that means? That means we could have had Keanu Reeves versus Keanu Reeves in the box office at the same time. Would have been an awesome double feature of a night. But no, 2020 got to be disrespectful and just push that off. So now we won't even see John Wick 4 until May of 2022. Ugh, talk about a gut punch. So let's move on to some more positive news with actually some movies that are going to be announced and that will be coming to us soon. News dropped that we're actually going to get an animated Transformers prequel, and this is all going to take place on Cybertron. It's going to be focused on the relationship between Megatron and Optimus Prime. And no, it is not going to be connected to any of the live action movies, you know, like Bumblebee or the other Transformer movies. And the positive news here is that because it's animated, it's actually going to have a lot easier path in being created in the midst of this quarantine time. So, hey, I'm all for it. I love Cybertron stories. I'm totally down with an animated Transformers movie. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that and if you're excited to see it. Next up, for you Star Wars fans out there, coming May the 4th, Star Wars Day, you know, may the Force be with you and all that, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is going to be heading to Disney Plus 2 months early, and it will be dropping on May 4th. Well, hooray for extra content for Disney Plus. I'll be honest, I'm not really excited. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker did not leave me with the best taste in my mouth, so you know, that's cool for the people that enjoy it. It's cool for Disney getting some more content, but alright, whatever. Speaking of whatever, Space Jam 2 now has an official title, and it is called Space Jam: A New Legacy. Alright, you guys let me know. Are you excited to see LeBron James in a new Space Jam movie? I mean, I know I liked the, Michael Jordan Space Jam. I was also a child when that came out, so I don't know if I'm going to still have the same feeling with LeBron James. I don't know. I'm not even trying to be like a LeBron hater or nothing. I'm just saying I just don't really think I care about it. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm just not excited to see LeBron James acting again. I don't know. Whatever. So you guys let me know if you're excited for this new Space Jam 2. Next, it's been reported that the Russo brothers are going to be producing a live-action Hercules movie, and there's a rumor that Jon Favreau could be directing. And if you recall, Jon Favreau is the guy who directed The Jungle Book, the Mandalorian series on Disney Plus, and the first 2 Iron Man movies. Now, if I recall, I want to say I enjoyed the Hercules animated movie when it came out as a kid, even though I can't really recall it too much. The one thing I do know, though, is that there have been a lot of fan castings and everything, you know, people saying who should play the roles and stuff like that. The one thing I think is an absolute slam dunk is you got to have Danny DeVito come back and play the role of Phil. Just period. I don't care who else is cast. Just have DeVito come back. He can still do the role. And I think it'll be kind of cool. In other news, HBO Max, which is the new streaming service from HBO, now has a live-action Green Lantern series that's going to be developed by Geoff Johns. Now, I know some people have been skeptical, you know, once they heard that Geoff Johns was going to be on board, because he was also he was like one of the main creatives, you know, the executives behind Batman vs. Superman and the Justice League live action movies. And he also got fired, you know, from WB, you know, at that point, and got a demotion. But so like, I get it. Like, the confidence is kind of shaky to have this guy come back and to put him, you know, in charge of this. Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm not that worried about Geoff Johns coming back to do a live action Green Lantern series. If for you comic fans out there, Geoff Johns is responsible for some of the greatest Green Lantern storylines, like, in comic history. You know, Blackest Night and just all these other stories that he has come up with. They've been really intricate and really, you know, fully fleshed out. And I think what gives me confidence with this is the fact that there's a very big difference between trying to tell a story via a movie and via a TV series, right? And I think that Geoff Johns might have a little bit more wiggle room and a lot more muscle to flex in a TV series to tell a Green Lantern story. You know, rather than trying to cram it all in 90 minutes, he can do it over the course of like a season or 2 or 3 and really, you know, tell the type of stories the way that he does in the comics. So I'm not terribly worried about it. I'm actually a little bit more excited that he has this opportunity to give us that. Now, of course, it's going to come down to casting and who you're going to put in the role. I don't know who you want to put as, you know, Hal Jordan, but I do recommend strongly that Sterling K. Brown be John Stewart. That he is a phenomenal actor. He has always been my favorite. And I think he will knock it out the park. I mean, yes, I know a lot of people like Idris Elba and stuff, but I just think y'all sleep. People are asleep on Sterling K. Brown. The dude is in shape. He can act. He can make you laugh. He can make you cry. Dude is a phenomenal actor, and I think he'll just surprise people. So hopefully, if this does happen, I hope Sterling K. Brown lands that role. All right, now we can move on to some news from Sony. Here we go. Sony has come out with an official name for the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they have the rights to with Spider-Man. Now, originally, it was like the Sony Marvel Universe, you know, SMU. All right, not the most complicated, but whatever. But now they have a much more easy to come off the tongue, roll off the tongue title, and it is now called the Spider-Man Universe of Characters. What? Or what is that? SMUC? What, SMUC? See, this is one of them reasons why I don't be trusting Sony all the time. Like, so you mean to tell me y'all couldn't have just called it, I don't know, Spider-Verse? After your Oscar award-winning, you know, animated movie? My goodness. Who is making these decisions? You know what? Whatever. Okay. Good for y'all. But sticking with Spider-Man, now let's get on to the juicy rumor about whether or not Daredevil is going to be coming into play in the next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 3. And this would be the one that would be produced by both Sony and by Marvel. And so the rumors out there that, Daredevil would make an appearance. And it could be possible, with Spider-Man's identity being revealed, that maybe a lawyer named Matt Murdock could make an appearance to help the hero out in some way. Now, Charlie Cox, who was part of the Netflix Daredevil series, when he was interviewed about this, he basically said that he had not heard about the rumors and said that if Marvel did put Daredevil in that Spider-Man 3 movie, it wouldn't be his Netflix version. It would be with another actor. And you know what? That kind of makes sense, because I know a lot of people don't really get it yet, but the Netflix Marvel characters are not MCU canon. They're not incorporated that way. And what I mean by that is, even though the Netflix series looks at and refers to the MCU movies and stuff, the MCU doesn't do it the other way around. So if the MCU does not acknowledge you, you're not part of the canon. This is kind of what happened with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started off kind of sort of canon, but then as, tensions happened behind the scenes, I think Kevin Feige didn't like the executive that did the Marvel TV shows at the time. They had their little beef or whatever. So sooner or later, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, nah, we just kind of live in like a different universe or whatever. So it's kind of weird, but the Netflix series have just not been connected to the MCU. And one way you can kind of tell that they were not connected is look at Mahershala Ali. He just recently got confirmed to play the role of Blade, who will be in the MCU. And for those of you who recall, Mahershala Ali was playing the role of Cottonmouth in the Luke Cage Netflix series. Right now, I don't believe that anything from the Netflix series is going to just, fall into the normal MCU. Now, that does not mean that Marvel can't recast or maybe reuse Charlie Cox. They could. They could still sit here and be like, okay, we're going to take this actor, bring him in, maybe even play a different role. But honestly, I don't think Marvel wants to even try to confuse that, even though, don't get me wrong, I love Charlie Cox as Daredevil. He was awesome. He was one of the best shows, one of the best characters on the Netflix series. So, maybe Marvel can roll the dice and just be like, you know what, F it, you're going to be Daredevil. Maybe you'll be a different type of Daredevil. That'll be kind of interesting, but I think it'll still be confusing. I don't know. If you guys can think of like a different solution, let me know how Marvel can bring Charlie Cox's Daredevil in to the MCU. I think the only other way that it might work, and this would be a stretch, they would have to play with the multiverse. That's the only, kind of excuse that they can use to be like, yes, it counts, but not really, but now it does. I don't know if they're about to go that far with it. It'll be interesting, but, that's the only way I could see Charlie Cox coming in. But hey, you guys are smart. Maybe you have a better idea. Please let me know. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have been keeping up, but there's been a beef going on, a whole fight. I mean, like a legit, like, yo, we about to go fisticuff, just, fighting between the movie studios, Universal Pictures, and AMC and Regal Theaters. So let me just kind of give you the gist of what's been going on and why everybody's beefing at this point. So recently, because of the quarantine, Universal Pictures decided to drop the movie Trolls World Tour on digital, so everybody could just watch it. You pay $20 or whatever, and you can watch the movie at home. Well, the theaters are closed, so that was the only option for them to, still make some money. And Trolls World Tour actually made a little over $100 million, which is not bad. Like, that's surprisingly, I had no idea it was going to make that much. But that was actually a good chunk of change for the movie studios to kind of recoup some of their money. So Universal Pictures was like, $100 million? Whoa! Didn't see that coming. Guess when the movie theaters do open up, we're going to drop our movies on both digital and open them up in the theaters at the same time. Then AMC was like, say what? Oh, no, you didn't. This is some straight up malarkey. Now, usually movies go on digital after a 90-day period. And the reason behind this is kind of like who gets to make money and how. Now, movie theaters themselves, they don't really make a lot of money off of the movie ticket sales. So like if a movie ticket costs, I don't know, $10, then like the movie theater might only make $1, while, you know, the studio will make like $9 off of that ticket. However, the longer a movie stays in the theaters, the more that percentage starts to change up in favor of the movie theaters. So if a movie has been really doing well and it's still in the theaters and like by like week 5, 6, 7 or something like that, well now, you know, the theater might be making $7, you know, on that movie per ticket, while the studios only make, you know, 3 or 2 or whatever, you know. And of course, keep in mind, movie theaters make the majority of their money by raising up those prices on concessions. So, like, that's really their other lifeline. So that's the real reason why movie theaters are so mad at Universal Pictures, because by releasing a movie on digital the same day that you release it in theaters, the movie theaters are not going to be able to make that residual income or that extra profit, you know, when the movie starts to hit week 4, 5, 6, or whatever. Since Universal Pictures didn't give AMC a heads up on this plan to drop everything at the same time, AMC and Regal Theaters, they've now taken a position of boycotting Universal movies. So you know what? That means that in the movie theaters, you're probably not going to see the Fast and the Furious franchise. Oh my God. Is Tyrese going to be okay? Oh, can someone please go check on him? Y'all know he don't like people messing with his money. Anyway, this makes sense for Universal Pictures, and I kind of get why they want to drop these movies like this in this format. I mean, if a movie is made, and let's say it probably doesn't do very well in theaters anyway, then dropping it both in theaters and on digital might make sense. It might be the way to keep the movie from flopping. And there's a major positive here for families. I got 3 kids. Do you know how much it costs just to go to the movie theaters to watch one movie? It's like $1 billion. Versus if I'm just sitting here at home, I could just drop $20. We got something to watch on the TV. You know, I already got my little movie popcorn that I bought from Walmart. And you can pause it whenever the kids start running around and they need a break. And you can replay it, because I don't know about anybody else's kids, but my kids like to watch things over and over and over again. I can't do that in the movie theater. So that's kind of a game changer, especially when it comes to families, you know, for these movies. I don't know, but what do you think about that whole beef? Do you think that the movie studios have a good point in dropping them on digital early? You know, do you think the movie theaters, do they have a good point in being like, all right, cool, you want to drop it on digital? We're not going to play your movies at all. So that's going to hurt the pockets of the studios. Or are you just like, hey man, keep dropping them $20 movies and I'll be fine at home? Don't know. Hey, I mean, I don't know who's right. Personally, I kind of think that at the end of the day, money is always going to talk. And these movie studios are going to work something out. They might shorten that 90-day period, though. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, maybe they'll be like, all right, maybe we'll drop it 2 months after rather than 90 days. But who knows? Once this quarantine is lifted, you know, for the majority of people and theaters are reopened, we'll probably see this, you know, be revisited in a different way. Who knows? All right, now on to some Marvel news. There was a quarantine watch party that was held on Twitter. This was basically the Russo brothers and the writers of Avengers Endgame. They came together to rewatch the movie and, you know, just answer some questions and dish out some information about the movie. So rather than going through every single one, I just picked out a couple of like the major highlights that I thought were the most interesting to bring to you guys, and some things that just kind of answer some lingering questions. So first things first, one of the questions that was kind of brought up was, how would Nick know where Tony was, out in space or whatever? And if you had ever seen my Avengers Endgame review, one of the bad things that I did not like were some of the shortcuts that were taken in the writing of the movie. There was one situation, especially the one that's kind of being referenced, which was how Captain Marvel just out of the huge vastness of space, how she was able to just find the ship, that him and Nebula were stranded on. That to me was something very simple, very easy to just be like, good, the tracker worked, or just something. You could have just, it was a quick 2-second line of dialogue that would have been fine, because there were so many questions that came about that could have explained it as well. In the comics, Captain Marvel has cosmic awareness, so that's an ability. Maybe that was the answer. Maybe it was Rocket tracking it. Maybe, we don't know, and that's the thing that I was kind of like, I wish I would have just answered it. But hey, now it's confirmed. The writers basically said, we assumed that Rocket could track the ship. Fine. Issue resolved. Next up, which was pretty exciting, Okoye in Avengers Endgame, she had made a reference about dealing with like some earthquake underwater, and for a long time people have been saying, yo, that's gotta be Namor, the underwater, basically Aquaman version of the MCU. And for a while the writers and directors were kind of dismissing it and saying like, nah, it wasn't Namor. Nah, it's not Atlantis. But now, all of a sudden, one of the responses was, sometimes you plant seeds, sometimes they grow. Oh, so y'all planting seeds now. See, whatever. Namor is confirmed to exist. I'm rolling with it. I'm good with it. Ain't nothing else playing underwater except for Atlantis. There have been plenty of Easter eggs all the way back to Iron Man 2. So it is time for Namor to come, and he better not mess with Wakanda. I know a lot of people are talking about he would be the great villain for Wakanda, or for Black Panther 2. Don't do it. Just don't do it, Namor. Next up, somebody had asked, have the higher ups at Marvel, did they kind of like put pressure on the writers to have Loki escape in order to set up Loki's Disney Plus TV show? And the writers basically said, no, that wasn't the case. They just thought that having Loki escape was a juicy way to set up the heist. Yeah, I'm not buying that one. See, when you got money involved like that, I'm not buying it. I mean, we just got done sitting here talking about how Namor wasn't going to happen, and how they were denying it, and then of course Marvel's going to jump on that. Let's be clear. Man, come on, man. You mean to tell me that y'all wasn't thinking about doing a Loki show? Maybe not these writers, but you mean to tell me Kevin Feige didn't come in and say something? Yeah, I don't personally believe him. I believe, once again, this was one of those seeds that they just wanted to sometimes grow. Because, look, everybody knew that Avengers Endgame was going to be a huge, massive movie. And there was no reason for Marvel not to take that movie and use it as like a catapult and a springboard for like other things. So yeah, they can say that they didn't plan it. I don't believe them. So whatever on that. And for my personal favorite thing that was confirmed, somebody asked, was it always Sam or Falcon who was going to get the shield from Captain America, or was Bucky ever considered? And I know a lot of people have been going back and forth about Bucky should have gotten the shield. He's actually got, the abilities and the super soldier serum and stuff. Look, I mean, this is not something that is that far-fetched. In the movies, if you watch the first Captain America, first Avenger, he was not chosen for the mantle because of his abilities, obviously. He was chosen based off the idealism of being a good man. And that's what Captain America is all about. It's about what you stand for and what you fight for. And sorry, even to the admittance of the writers and to Sebastian Stan himself, Bucky is not a good man. He's very damaged in his head. He's done a lot of very bad things in his life. Yes, he was brainwashed, but those are things that he's still kind of wrestling with and dealing with. And even Bucky, at the end of Endgame, kind of gave his approval when he gave that nod, to Falcon when he was getting the shield. So if Bucky's not mad, if that's what Captain America wanted, why are people upset about this? You don't need special powers to be Captain America. It's just a mantle. It's okay. Steve Rogers is still Steve Rogers. And by the way, I do believe he will be coming back, but that's for another video. So yes, and the writers did confirm that yes, Bucky was considered, and they back up the notion that Captain America is about the idea and about just being a better person, just being a good person. So I take them for their word for it because, again, these writers were the same people that wrote all of the Captain America movies. So they know Captain America, I would argue, a little bit better in terms of the MCU than a lot of us might. So I'm cool with their decision with it. It makes sense, structurally from a story perspective. And plus, whatever. Falcon's not going to be keeping the shield like that anyway. It was always a momentary thing, even in the comics. So I'm not tripping over it. I'm fine with him having the shield. Maybe Bucky plays with it in the TV show on Disney Plus. Doesn't matter to me. But hey, at least now we have some confirmation about why that decision was made. Finally, we're coming to my favorite point of confirmation, and I am so glad that they have come out and spoken on this. Somebody asked when Steve Rogers was attempting to pick up Thor's hammer in Age of Ultron, did that have anything to do with his worthiness, or did he just choose not to do it? And the writers have confirmed that, or at least one of the writers, I should say, is that Captain America was not completely worthy yet. And he still had the secret of Tony's parents' death to resolve. Thank you. This is a humble brag. In 2016, I was the first person. And this is a humble brag. In 2016, I wrote the very first article that Captain America was not worthy of picking up Thor's hammer because of what he held or withheld from Tony. And because of his omission of the truth, which is technically lying, because he kept that secret from Tony, it literally caused the disbandment of the entire Avengers team, which, by the way, led to them losing in Infinity War. So that's a huge thing. That one little secret disbanded the entire team, and my argument from 2016 on was that it was just something that made him unworthy momentarily. Take that secret away, Cap's always been worthy. Obviously, he's always been a dope guy, good guy, and all that. But I personally think that it's always just been very cheap to just say like, oh, he just chose not to lift the hammer, and he just didn't want to embarrass Thor. What? For what? When we're sitting here trying to tell a story, I like the idea more that it's more fulfilling for Cap to actually have a flaw, to actually have an issue, and then to overcome it. It's what makes heroes all the time. When you have something dark, deep, or whatever that's in you, and then all of a sudden you overcome that for the greater good. Like, yeah, that's good character building. That's a good story in itself. So I personally am happy that one of the writers have acknowledged this theory that I put forth a long time ago. And you know what? I'm good with it. I'm glad that it's getting a little bit of props and attention. So for now, yes, thank you. All right, now that's all for the news. As far as what I've been watching recently, I don't know if you guys have heard about it. It's this little series on Netflix called Kingdom. Takes place in, Asia. I don't know if it's Japan or Korea, China. I don't know. But it's this Asian, country back in the times. And they've got a zombie problem. And it's kind of cool in terms of the zombies are the best part. I'll just put that out right now. The best thing you can do, I've said it before, is have fast running zombies. That's exactly what they got in this. That's fine. This whole show tries to be an Asian version of Game of Thrones, and I don't think that works. The politics are a little confusing. And this is coming from somebody who watches a lot of anime, and I understand, or at least have a basic understanding of how, the governments, royalties, and kingdoms and stuff worked, in feudal Japan or other parts of Asia and stuff. But it was just not written very well, in my opinion. I was getting a little confused with okay, wait, who are you guys? You're the royal guard? Oh, wait, okay, so are you guys part of the government? No, you're a scholar. Okay, I don't know. It was just really confusing. But hey, every time they brought the zombies in, it got more interesting. And I'm really hoping that this is not racist when I say this. And I mean, hey, somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. But as I was watching this, I really, really wanted more kung fu or martial arts to be in this. I mean, I'm sorry. You give me fast zombies and some dope martial arts, that sounds like a win every single time. But it didn't have that per se, so maybe a miss. But I don't know. If you've watched Kingdom, let me know what you thought about it. It's not something I don't think I can really recommend it, because I think you have to have a certain level of patience for it. It's only 8 episodes, I want to say, per season. It's got 2 seasons so far. But man, the first couple episodes were rough. Just getting to the zombies were rough. But I do appreciate how they treat the zombies. I appreciate how, they develop the science in this. So you discover new things about the zombies and stuff. And that's kind of interesting. But you're going to have to be patient with it, for it to really get as good as it will get. So it's okay. It's a mild recommendation to watch it, but if you're not into it by, I want to say the second or third episode, you could probably leave it alone. So anyway, I'm going to keep watching it, whenever the next season comes out. But again, if any of you have watched Kingdom, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch this video. Really, really do appreciate it. Don't forget that if you have any questions, comments, or anything that you'd like for me to cover in the next episode, please shoot me an email at askeman411@gmail.com. That's askeman411@gmail.com. I always love to hear from you guys. Anyway, I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, see you all later.